I mean, does it ever feel like you're just stuck in this never-ending race to feed the algorithm? You create new stuff for YouTube, then it's on to TikTok, then Instagram, then a blog post. It can be completely and utterly overwhelming. If you've ever felt that creative burnout, believe me, you are not alone.
But here's the thing. What if the solution wasn't to work harder, but to work smarter? The most successful creators out there have figured this out. They have a system, a real system, that turns one single piece of content into a dozen different assets. And it all starts with a total shift in your mindset.
Okay, so to get started, we need to completely flip how we think about content. We're moving away from that old publish and pray model that, let's be honest, so many of us fall into.
The strategist Ross Simmons frames this just perfectly. He says, look, for decades, creators have just been taught to create. But making the thing, that's only half the battle. The other half, the part that really drives growth, is marketing and distributing that content you worked so hard on. And this analogy just brilliantly illustrates the difference. The old way is thinking like a newspaper, right? You write an article, you publish it, you move on to the next day's news. The new way, it's thinking like Disney. When Disney makes a movie, they're not just making a movie. They're already planning the soundtrack, the merch, the theme park rides, the streaming series. It's not one asset. It's a whole ecosystem built from a single powerful idea. Creator Amber Figlow gives us a really clear vocabulary here with her 3 R's. A repost is super simple, just sharing the same thing again. A reuse is maybe tweaking a concept a little bit. But the real magic, the thing we're focused on, is repurposing, transforming one asset into something totally new. So, how do you even plan for that?
So, how do we actually put this Disney mindset into action? Well, it starts with a strategy that creator Kenya Kelly calls the explode method. And the key here is to plan your repurposing before you even hit that record button.
Just like Kenya says, you have to ask yourself from the very beginning, how can we squeeze every last drop of juice out of this one piece of content? It's not something you think about later. It's part of the initial plan. You're not just filming a YouTube video. You're actually creating the raw material for an entire week's worth of content, or maybe even more. And here's what that explosion actually looks like in practice. Your single long-form video becomes the pillar for everything else. You can strip the audio for a podcast episode, the transcript becomes a blog post that's great for SEO, and the best, punchiest moments, those become 8 to 10 vertical clips for Reels and TikToks. The key is that one recording session fuels every single one of your platforms for a week or longer. Okay, so you've got the mindset down, you've got the explode strategy. Now let's walk through a tactical, step-by-step workflow that actually combines the systems used by some of the best creators out there. It really breaks down into a simple 4-part process. First, you record your pillar content. This is your one big, high-value piece. Second, and this is crucial, you use AI tools to edit and extract the gold. This is how you find those viral clips without having to rewatch hours of footage. Third, you organize everything in a content calendar so you have a clear plan of attack. And fourth, you use automation tools to distribute it all for you. So, we've created the pillar content, and we've exploded it into dozens of assets. But the final piece of this puzzle, and you could argue it's the most important, is actually getting those assets in front of real people. And this brings us right back to Ross Simmons' core idea. Hitting publish is not the finish line. It's really the starting gun. You have to become a master of distribution. You have to actively go out there and push your content into the digital spaces where your audience is already hanging out. And, this means looking beyond just the main social media feeds. Think about niche subreddits related to your topic. Think about active Facebook groups where your ideal customers are asking questions. You can answer questions on Quora with a link back to your content, or even get featured in industry newsletters. These are all incredibly powerful and often overlooked channels for distribution. And hey, if you're sleeping on communities like Reddit, just look at this number. According to Ross's research, Reddit gets over 500 million visitors a month just from Google search. People are actively using these platforms like search engines. And if your content has the answer they're looking for, you absolutely need to be there. So ultimately, what this all comes down to is a fundamental change in your identity as a creator. The game isn't just about being a content creator anymore. To really succeed, you have to become a strategic media operator, thinking about creation, repurposing, and distribution as one single unified system. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is the one pillar piece of content? Maybe a deep dive video, a webinar, a great podcast interview. What's the one thing you can create this week that could fuel your entire media engine for the next 30 days? That's the power of this playbook. Thanks so much for tuning in.